My problem started about 6 years back. The primary concern was that whenever I would want to direct my attention to something, there would be a thought lingering, not a thought I would say, but a sentence, there would be a sentence lingering in the background which would try to distract me from what I was trying to focus on. Let's say I'm supposed to read an article. When I go to read that article, I always get a sense that something in my mind will repeat itself, because of which I'll get distracted. Now, that something which would repeat itself used to generally be a sentence, and I'm afraid that as soon as I go to read that article, this sentence will come, and by virtue of this sentence coming, I will get distracted from my primary act of reading the article. So I was never confident about being able to focus on something, and that underconfidence had developed severe anxiety within me, to the point that I would sleep in anxiety, I would wake up in anxiety, and anxiety would encompass my entire day. Almost it would at times feel that life is a struggle against anxiety. I would be so anxious from within because of the fear that I would not be able to focus on something. So whenever I would do an activity which involved a higher mental faculty, I would be afraid that that sentence of what if I change my line of thought would come, and partly because I was afraid of it, I had actually started believing in it also. I had actually started believing that that I would not be able to focus on whatever activity I was doing, say solving a mathematical equation, and instead change my line of thought. But because it would come again and again, that led me to believing that there was something which had the potential to change my line of thought from what I was supposed to do then. And that would leave me absolutely petrified. I had sleepless nights. I would wake up after 4 hours and wake up sweating. I had panic attacks, and my head would basically spin. Now, fortunately, I knew at least what panic attacks were, so I wouldn't think of them as heart attacks or something. But still, they were very tough to deal with. You still have to deal with the anxiety that is there within you, even if you know that you're not dying. But it is, you're experiencing death without dying. It's almost like that. So yes, I'd been to psychiatrists for this illness, mainly allopathic psychiatrists, who'd given me anti-anxiety medications. Now, what I didn't particularly like about the psychiatrists whom I had initially met was that they would rely too heavily on the medications. And while the medications would bring the anxiety down, I think a large part of it was due to induced sleep. So there were sleep-inducing medicines. I would feel sleepy, my mind would be slightly slower, and automatically I wouldn't have the mental bandwidth to focus on worries. And I think that is one of the ways in which they work also. I won't say that they didn't decrease the anxiety at all. They did help in decreasing the anxiety. But it was always that in case I stopped taking those medications, then the anxiety would return. Because the underlying doubt was still there. That doubt had not resolved itself. The anxiety was a byproduct of that doubt, not the doubt itself. Now, about a year back, I had got particularly anxious. So the panic attacks, which I was mentioning, the throughout the day struggle with anxiety, the palpitations, my absolute lack of confidence to focus on something, all those things had reached an escalated point last year, to the point that I thought that it had to be cured come what may. Whether I had to quit my job, whether I had to relocate to some other place, practice yoga, meditation, whatever, but I had to get this over in order to start living my life hopefully again. Otherwise, the job and the city, everything was not giving me any peace of mind. In fact, I was just basically anxious all the time. So I had to get rid of the anxiety to start living again. I primarily was looking for different ways to treat myself. My perception was that homeopathy would be lagging in its research, and it would still not have reached mental illnesses. Which is, I first tried allopathy and then came to homeopathy. But I was proven wrong by Dr. Aditya Tiwari and Angels Clinic. For me, what had worked was Dr. Aditya's counseling. The amount of time and attention that he gave me, it was. I don't think anyone can be more attentive to any work that is done. And each word is heard with absolute rapt attention. Then he gives those perspectives of his which entirely change your mind, or which eliminate the doubts which you have, or look at the problem from a different perspective. So he gives you different perspectives to look at the doubts which you are grappling with, and those different perspectives, he invariably comes up with them. With allopathy, the primary problems which I faced was that discontinuation of allopathy would result in recurrence of the symptoms or recurrence of the anxiety, and I was never confident about the fact that I would be able to focus even while taking the allopathic medications. With the counseling approach that Dr. Aditya Tiwari gave me, I have actually begun feeling very confident that I can focus and stay undistracted. And my earlier misconception was that homeopathy would typically take a long time in order to show results, and that was entirely a misconception because I think it took only 2 weeks for me to see definite signs of improvement. So within 2 weeks, I could see myself being less anxious, being more relaxed, and reverting to my original self. I could see that change happen within a period of 2 weeks. And by about 8 weeks, I was fairly confident that this is not a one-off thing and it's not a medicative thing, but this was an effect which was going to last for some time. So I would say 2 weeks for definite signs of improvement, and around 2 months for indications that this was not a one-off thing and this would be long-lasting.